Okay, I'd like to start a new, I guess basically an introduction tutorial to GrafX2. Um, and this is just going to be kind of a getting started, kind of a quick start guide. Um, Basically just some of the things that I like to use when using it. So let's get started with this. I'm going to start with layers mode. Layers are a concept. If you're familiar with other paint packages like Photoshop or anything like that, or I guess GIMP is probably the more widely available because it's open source software. Layers you can think as a stack of transparent sheets that are stacked on top of each other. But I'll get back to that. I think first of all I'd like to go through basically the interface of GrafX2. So these are all your drawing tools here. It's important to note that these buttons use both right and left click. Left click will select. Some of these tools is actually a double button, like the square drawing option, the polygons, polyfill. So these buttons actually have two, and I'm left clicking both. You can see one is an outlined option, and if you click below, that's going to be a filled option. Now those colors come from over here. This black part is your background color, and this white part is going to be your foreground color. So of course it's assumed that the fill shapes draw with a foreground color, and the kind of outline shapes also draw with a foreground color. So let's get into brushes, and you can kind of see GrafX2 basically is very brush driven. So you have a good amount of option of preset brushes. These are all you have. I left click this, by the way, and you can see all the brushes we have. I'm going to select, let's select an interesting one here. So I've got this one selected. Now to use it, the brush will be applied to whatever tool you're currently using. So this outline, the brush is actually going to be applied to the outline, and that can be useful if you need some non-standard shapes, like if you want to draw a polygon with some fat shapes. We'll right click to close. You can see some of this. Some of this is just an effect of using a brush that's kind of dithered. You can see that half this brush is missing. That works a little better with a freehand tool, maybe. Well, I guess maybe it's better for just stamping. But the freehand tool is this one. You can right click it, and then you get one that's a little bit more responsive to speed changes. It's kind of a dotted tool that updates every so often as it draws along. This is your palette over here. If you right click these, it goes a little bit quicker either way. This is how you set the current drawing color. So if we want this pink, we can use that pink. I'm going to switch to a standard brush here. There we go. You can see we switch colors here, and I'm going to right click this. You can see there's a few different, that does like a filled polygon. Anyway, and then you can actually change brush sizes in real time. If you hit the comma key, it gets smaller. If you hit the period key, you can see it gets much bigger, and that can be handy rather than coming over here every time. So that's useful. Another thing is that, like I said, it's very brush driven, so I'm going to clear this by hitting this clear button, left clicking that, and we're going to create a custom brush. And normally, I mean, well, let's just do it. I'll shut up and do it. Let's say we want a brush that's like three dots here, or something like that. So to create a new brush, first what you do is you put down what you want as your brush, and then you can hit the B key, or you can click over here, and that's the brush grab. So whatever this copies, holding down and dragging over this, that's going to be the new brush. And you can see it basically works as though this is a new brush. Let's clear this a little bit. And now that we have that defined, we can draw with it, even using some of these. Like I said, doing the outline, it's gonna do whatever you want. So, of course, there's the line tool. If you right click, you get kind of a lines, which keeps drawing lines until you right click. And then if you draw, this one isn't very useful. I'm going to clear this page again just so we can see. And I'm also going to I'm going to get rid of this custom brush, and to do that all you have to do is hit the delete key, and it defaults back to the 1 pixel brush. But this lines tool is kind of weird. It just draws everything to that center point. I don't know, if people would have a use for that, but that's just a feature they include. So we'll clear that out. Let's see, am I still recording? Yeah. Okay. And then flood fill, that basically will fill a region of one color, and I'm going to grab my brush. I'm going to grab a bigger brush here, just for oops. Let's use the free. So let's say for some reason we want to fill this black area with red. You can see we've selected red here. We'll come over to the flood fill, we'll left click, standard flood fill. Now I want to show one other little feature of this. I'm going to create a second thing over here just for the sake of demonstration. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to fill all colors, or I wanted to replace a color. If I were just to grab this orange, for example, and fill this, it's going to get whatever it fills on top of. Hit the U key for undo, by the way, or you can come down here. But if I want to replace all red, I can right click this flood fill, and you can see that it's going to replace all of one color in a picture, and that can be really handy too. Especially if you have a bunch of regions all over the place and you just want to replace a color. That's a great option to do. And then I've gone over rectangles. This doesn't appear to have a left click or a right click at this time. But this one does. This circle, you toggle between. Let me get back to the standard brush again. I'll hit the delete key to get back to the single pixel. If you right click these, you go between circles, we'll right click, and now we have an ellipse. So that's a great option too. If you don't want to draw a circle, you just need kind of an ellipse, just right click those. What else do I go to? Polyfill, it's a pretty standard polygon tool. When I click right, it'll close it. It's not super useful all the time, sometimes it is. This is a more useful one. This if you right click, you get this filled form one. And what you can do is you can grab the transparent color, which is this black here. I think by default it's this one. And let's say we want to keep, or we just want to delete these two. We can use that P fill to draw around here. And we're going to draw over the top of this with a transparent color. And boom, it's gone. So that's kind of how you erase. There isn't an eraser tool so much as you're just drawing over what you don't want with a transparent color and, doing it that way. You could do it with the brush too in a transparent color. It's just, in the end, draw over something with the transparent color in it and it clears it out. Okay, there's also an adjust menu where you can kind of grab things within the picture and move them around. And then if you right click this, you're going to get a picture transform, and you can reset the size. I always like to start with a big canvas, so I'm kind of free to position things around, and then when I do when I get the final sprite just the way I want it, then I can just resize it down to a smaller size. So I'm going to cancel out of this. It reminds me of another thing. Let me show you how to mirror brushes very quickly. It's kind of useful. Let's say I'm just going to create a random brush here by selecting B to select my brush shape. Since the black is transparent, we're going to be able to see through it. Let's say I wanted to place this down and I wanted to create a mirrored effect. What I can do is, if you hit the X key, it's going to flip it horizontally. This is much nicer than a program where you would have to basically go over to a menu option every time. There's nice keyboard shortcuts. If I hit the Y key, it's going to flip it along the Y-axis. So you can kind of see how you get different very quick rotations. I don't know if this one has a menu option, but if you hit the W key, it'll go like this, and then you can actually free rotate it. Of course, it's going to be a little bit dirty for pixel art. You'll need to clean that up by hand, but it's going to be very, very accurate. So that's an option to consider too. If you need to rotate something, it's great to have something that free rotates like that, and that's the W key. I just remember it as a person that can't say R's, he would say wotate it. So just remember, wotate starts with W. That kind of helps me. let's get rid of this brush again. We'll hit the delete key to go back to the single pixel brush. Let's see, brush effects, you can click this. This is kind of, I mean, this is a long way to get into to rotating and mirroring. These are different options. You can stretch, outline, nibble, all this stuff, recolorize. That's if you shift your palette. Brush handle can be handy too. If you want to grab a brush by one of these edges, that's an option too. Let me right click this, and this is very cool. This is the script. This will actually run a Lua script, and Lua is a programming language you can write to extend this program. I would suggest you learn it at some point. This is actually Dawnbringer's toolbox of options here, and you can see he has all kinds of stuff that he's loaded in here. I'm sure he has 100-some scripts, all different stuff dealing with palettes, image, all different special options. He's really done a great job extending the functionality of this program through that. And then we have text. I'll admit I don't use text too often, but you basically type in what you want and then you stamp it. I didn't change it. We're on the default deal here. You could do something like this. I don't know if these fonts are gonna, sometimes they're a little bit squirrely. I don't know, let's give that a try. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I see, it's black. Why is it black? I have no idea why it's black. That might be a bug, or that might be something I'm doing, but I know the default one works, so let's try this one. Anyway, yeah, that might be a bug. I might need to contact the program maintainers about that. But anyway, that's how you can quickly add text to something. Oh, I skipped splines. We're going to default to the 1-pixel brush by hitting the D key, or delete key, I'm sorry. And splines basically allow you define the beginning point, the end point, and then you can stretch it. So let's say I wanted to point to something, like I was making a diagram. I could point from there to there, and then you can go, you know, like that. And all kinds of great stuff. But when you use these, the main thing to note is think about it as defining a start point, an end point, and then fiddling with the middle later. If you right-click this, you'll get a spline that actually has 2 knots in it. I think this one's technically a Bezier curve, but I don't know. I don't have the math in front of me. But you define, this is the 2-point. You define a start and end, just like the other. And then you have these knots, I think they're called mathematically, that you can drag around, and then you right-click when you're done, and it'll leave it. Okay, there's a gradient option. Basically, this is used to define what you'd use in the gradient-based tools. And this depends on the order of your palette too. You might want to reorder your palette to get a different gradient, and then it gets into color remapping, but that's a little bit more advanced. So we'll say I want to go from light to dark, this nice sky blue. You have some dither options. You can smooth it out. You'll notice down here how smooth it gets, and that's just kind of depending on what you want to do. So we'll define a point there, and then an end point, just like you would with the rectangle tool, and then you define a vector for the gradient to be placed. Not super useful. Maybe if you're making a skyline or something, it might help. And then there's a gradient sphere, which you draw the outline, and then you're going to pick a point for the intensity there. I would kind of advise, I mean, it's a novel effect, but I don't know that it's mathematically correct for a sphere. It kind of looks right, but I would think that this would follow the contours of the sphere a little bit better, and this would not be a full circle mathematically. But if you're just into eyeballing, I mean, it'll get you close enough. And then we have numerous effects. These all have a right-click option too. There's option for grid, tiling, tile map. Basically, if I use the sieve a lot. If you want a really cool dither effect, for this I'm going to need to get a little bit bigger brush though. So I'll use the technique I told you earlier and hit period to grow our brush. You can see it growing in the corner there. Let's get to the freehand tool over here. You can see we're a bigger brush. Let's make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to keep hitting period to keep growing it. There we go. That's a good healthy size brush. Okay, so let's go to Effects, and this sieve option, we'll right click it, and you can see that these are different patterns where the white is going to be solid and the black will be transparent. You have width options, you have a scroll option to offset it different ways. I guess that makes more sense when it's like this. But let's try this. So now that we have the sieve option on, it's going to draw a dither-like effect, and you can use this to shade midtones if you're doing pixel art. We'll come in again and we'll try. We'll right-click there, and we'll do a little bit. This is going to be a little bit darker appearing sieve. Oh, well, it's a dither pattern if you want to be technical. We'll click there again, right-click again. We'll do an even darker one. This is 50%, as you can see. And it just can be kind of nice for adding fake transparency too. This'll, like if I draw over this, it'll almost give it the effect that this is transparent. If you sit far enough away, again, limited color work, this can be very helpful. Just be sure that you turn it off when you're done, because if you use any other tool, it also works on all the other tools. So they call it sieve. It's actually kind of a transparent dither. There's also some for transparency. For this transparency will get as close to the right color as it can given your presets, and that can be kind of nice too. Smear is nice to give things an organic edge. Let me demonstrate that real quick. Let's do a red block. Oh, we're gonna burn your eyes right out. Here we go. And green right next to it. Gosh, that's wonderful, isn't it? Your eyes on fire yet? Good. Okay, so we'll go to Effects and we'll go to Smear. We'll close, and this should. Let's get a. This is with the drawing tool, and you can see it kind of gives it a more organic effect. If you were doing maybe sand tiles that met with sea or something, you could give it a little more organic type edge. Of course, magnifying glass, this will define a region you're magnifying and zooming in on. Once you lay that down, you can actually zoom back out. You can see the full size over here. Now let's zoom totally out again. We'll left click this again to do that. Another thing, when you're magnifying, you can use the mouse wheel and you can kind of tighten up or loosen up on the total picture you're magnifying. So that's kind of nice to have. We'll click that once again to get back out. And then, let's see. Oh, I should talk about the spare page. So sometimes when you're doing pixel art, you want to make something temporarily so you can copy over to your drawing, but you don't want to do it on the drawing itself. And in that case, you can hit Tab and go to what they call a spare page. And why isn't it drawing anything? Give me 1 second here. Oh, the effects are on. Let's turn all off. So this is the spare page where you can do all kinds of stuff. Like if you want to draw something really big like this, but you didn't want to draw it on your main drawing or there wasn't enough space, do it on your spare page and then copy it as a brush. Hit Tab again to go back, and now you can see I can put this wherever I want without, affecting this drawing. And that's kind of useful to have. Again, I'll hit Delete to go back to our single pixel brush, and then I'll hit the clear key there to clear everything off the spare page. You can see if I hit Tab, we're back on the main page and it's not affected. So the spare page is where you can do your work without affecting anything. Save and load, those should be pretty self-explanatory. Let's see what else is there. I think this is the spare page button. I just haven't memorized this tab. Settings and skins, this is where you can do some settings. This grid XOR color, sometimes if you're in a weird palette and you can't see the cursor and you need to choose another color for it, you can do that there, I believe. All kinds of stuff in there to look through. Again, all this stuff, be sure to try right and left clicking everything. If we right click this, we get different skins. I kind of prefer, I'll just stick with dPaint throughout this tutorial, but you can see there's some really nice looking skins in there. And I guess finally I'll just go over the layers, and they appear down here. You basically have a merge layer, add layer, drop layer, and then you can rearrange them too. So I'm going to add a new layer, and again, think of these as transparent plastic on top of each other that you can see down through. So we're on layer 2 now. If you mouse over the layer, you can see a little preview appear. There's 1 and 2. 2 should be blank. So let's actually 2 might have a copy of 1, but let's check here. So I'm going to adjust get a bigger pen here, and I should be able to scribble all over this. And yep, and now you can see that 2 basically has all this on it, but it doesn't affect layer 1. So you can work on something without and see through, but without affecting it. Now if I go to layer 1 and I erase something with the transparent color once again, it's not going to affect that green because the green is the layer on top of this. So it's kind of useful if you want like a background. If you're placing a character and you have a background, but you don't want to commit that character to the background until they're just positioned where you want it, you can use layers and stuff like that. Or if you're drawing a character and maybe your clothes is a separate layer, you can use that to kind of work on the clothes layer without damaging the template underneath. That's kind of the option that a lot of layers are used for. Is you make your template and then you make your modifications on a layer if it's like clothes on a doll or something, and then you can commit down, merge layer. I believe. Oh, I need to be on 2 because we're going to merge 2 down to 1, and now this is 1 layer. So that's how you can use layers to edit without disturbing the image down below. And again, just think of those as plastic transparent sheets kind of stacked on top of each other. And I think that's pretty much it. There's a lasso option too for brushes. If you have something that doesn't really fit in a square nicely, or you want a little bit better, a little bit more control, you can do the lasso and get a little bit closer like this, hit right, and now we have this. So that's just an option too. There's a lot of stuff to learn and think about. I might get into the palette stuff later, but the important thing is just to realize that every button in this program pretty much has a right and left click option. So I hope you guys have a good day. Enjoy spriting, enjoy painting, and get out there and make some art. Thanks.